How's it going, Andrew?
What's going on, Matt?
Yeah. More than anybody wants to listen to me complain about.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting ramped up for this weekend. I'm going to be flipping wieners with the lodge for a community outreach event and helping out one of our brothers, I think called the Garden District, which allows people to do community gardening. So they asked for our help, so we're sending some brothers out, and so I'm getting myself geared up for wiener flipping mode.
Well, if there's one thing you're good at, it's handling wieners.
Flipping wieners. Flipping wieners. You got to say it correctly. Flipping sausages.
Nope, I said it the way I said it, and everybody's going to have to live with it. No, that'll be fun. I wish I could be there for that one, but I committed to going to the Widow's Sons ride that is going on Saturday because it benefits the Grandmaster's Appeal. So I will be there with my fellow members of the Low 12 supporting that. So
where are they riding? What's the deal with that?
I don't know. Usually we go through they go through 3 Pillars at some point on the route and a couple other places and then end somewhere. I don't know. I wasn't planning it. I'm just a participant.
You just get on the bike and ride and just see where they go.
Tell me where to go, and that's where I go.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
It's nice sometimes when you can do it that way instead of being the one that's organizing it all.
Oh, yeah, I believe that. Cool.
So,
well, we don't have to talk forever because we have a special guest who's staring at us right now, waiting for his opportunity to be brought in. He's staring closer now. I'm scared. So we will hit that starting music, and we will get this kicked off.
Loosen up your ties and roll up your sleeves. It's time for Fellowship with Matt and Andrew. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin or any other Grand Lodge or any appended body.
Secretive guest, I'm going to quickly unmute you here. Could you please say hello and introduce yourself?
Jeremy Mathis. I'm an Army veteran. I served active duty 2007 to 2011 with 12 months in Iraq from May 2009 to May 2010. So if you were there in Iraq about that time, especially JBB Anaconda, all the JBB folks, what's up? Hit me up. Let's talk about a lot of sand. Anyway, I'm a member of many Masonic organizations: York Rite, Scottish Rite, Grotto, Past Master, Waukesha 37, and the very first Masonic organization that I joined was actually outside of Symbolic Lodge, was the National Sojourners, which brings me here to talk about military history and what lessons we can learn from the Revolution and stuff like that.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, Jeremy. We're always excited to hang out with you. So let's start with, what do you think? Oh, you know what? Let's start with this. What's happening tomorrow?
Well, today when this comes out.
Yeah, what's happening today?
Thursday, today, Thursday, August 27th is the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Long Island. We just celebrated the 250th birthday of American freedom, America's birthday on July 4th, which we chose the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which I think is appropriate. We celebrate Independence Day because of a very American form of bravery and standing for a noble cause, regardless of the odds or the danger. In 1775, 1776, you had the Massachusetts campaign in 1775. The Continental Army, consisting mostly of local militia, forces the Redcoats out of Boston, right? There's 77 brave patriots at Lexington that drew the line in the American soil and said, this is as far as the bastards are going, which is actually a different quote in World War II. But I think his actual quote, Lexington, April 1775, was, "Don't fire unless fired upon, but if they mean to have a war, let it begin here," which is on a stone at Lexington, and I can't wait to go visit someday. The other quote that I said, that is as far as the bastards are going, is actually from the Battle of the Bulge. And the short story of that is, there was a tank commander looking for a safe place for a moment, and he asked a lone paratrooper digging a fighting position where the front line was. And that paratrooper was PFC Vernon Hutt. And he famously looked up and said, well, buddy, just pull your vehicle behind me. I'm the 82nd Airborne, and this is as far as the bastards are going, which is super cool because it shows the unbroken link, right? 1775 to 1945. If they want war, let it begin here. And this is as far as the bastards are going. I mean, it's a really cool, that's the chain that every veteran is a part of. And as Freemasons and veterans, it's extra special to have that link. Lexington had 700 armed British regulars against 77 farmers with guns. And they still said, bring it. And so that's, we celebrate all that led to the win at Boston, kicking the Redcoats out of Boston. It was a very big win. We had the Declaration of Independence, very carefully worded document addressing all the grievances to the king, right? And then the king responded. And he sent one of the largest armies the largest army that's ever been across the Atlantic Ocean for sure. And he sent them all to New York. It did not go well. That's the Battle of Long Island. And today, Thursday, August 27th, is the anniversary of the Battle for Long Island, which Washington, that was his first major defeat.
One thing that Brother Washington was good at, and one thing I admire about him as a general, is when he's sitting there thinking about, okay, until, Valley Forge, right, he truly has got a militia. Like, that is, for the most part, I mean, he's got a couple regulars, or I don't know the exact number, but he's just pulling together an army out of colonists. And he's like, let's do it. Yeah. That he was an expert at the tactical retreat, where he's like, the only thing I cannot afford to do is be squashed. He's like, if I get an absolute defeat, this is done and it's over. Like, I need to more or less buy time for the logistics nightmare that is having 20,000 British soldiers in enemy territory with, there was obviously loyalists there as well, but it's still hostile territory.
Lots of Tories, yeah.
Yeah, and say, how can we feed these guys long enough when the other farmers have guns and they're not farming right now? And so how are we going to get fed today?
Washington knew, and he did as well as he could. He made some mistakes, but they were outmatched. I mean, there's just no buts about it. They knew they didn't have to win. They just had to not lose, right? Their retreat was over the East River from, I think, like Long Island area to like Manhattan. It was covered by the Maryland 400, which I didn't know until I looked into the Battle of Long Island. I mean, they should be celebrated. The Maryland 400 held the British so that Washington's army could retreat, and nearly half of them were killed. But they fought hard enough to give the rest of the Continental Army time to escape over the East River, so that when the British forces attacked, the Americans were long gone in the morning. And if the Continental Army with General George Washington don't retreat across the East River, that probably would have been the beginning of the end of the Revolution. World history would be vastly different if Washington's army doesn't get across that East River overnight, because he would have been captured and hung without a doubt. And that might have been the beginning of the end right there.
We would have been like, and no offense to Canada, but we might have been a little more similar to Canada, where we'd be like, still have the king on our currency, right?
It would be real weird, because who knows what would have happened, because France was moving in too. So, I mean, we may be this whole country might be split right now between France and Britain and Spain and natives. Like, this might be 4 different countries, instead of 50 states.
Oh man, so, I do wonder if someone's played that game, like an alternate history. Like, what happened if the Americans lost the Revolution? Like, I could see it definitely being 4 nations too, because also when you look at the British's policy towards the indigenous peoples, they were a little bit more amenable to being like, hey, let's not encroach too much and do all that type of stuff. So you could very well imagine a world where there was a larger country that's there, where it's like, yep, this is where those territories are honored without that complete, the whole manifest destiny dealio and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it would be 50 American states. I mean, there's no way that, obviously, that wouldn't have. I think it would be not one nation. I think it would be constant multiple nations warring for property, and I mean, yeah, who knows? We would have
been Europe.
It would be way different. It basically would have been Europe. That's really what it would have been. It would have been Europe, multiple countries. So pretty neat. That we talk about divine providence. the Revolutionary War is full of divine providence. Every little decision that was made was critical, and God led them through this whole thing. George Washington was a strong believer, and many of his officers were strong believers in divine providence, and that got him through. In days where it wasn't going well, I think it's a good lesson on not responding immediately, and it's okay to wait and to retreat and to regather your forces. I think we talked about this once before, is maybe not sending that email or text yet. Maybe do a retreat. You know what I mean?
A tactical retreat.
There's a lesson that we can learn from that tactical retreat in our lives, in our lodges. It's okay to wait and ask for guidance from God. We won't win every battle, and we don't always have to fight to win the battle. Maybe we just need to not lose it, right? Or just, sometimes the right choice is just to regroup.
I wonder, too, to your point, we're kind of going down the Hodag hole a little bit. What lessons can we learn from, American military history that can be applied on the personal level as a symbol for Masons to bring back into their lives? I think you brought up a good point, the patience and the ability to not always react to a situation by weighing your options, right? Using providence and prudence and thinking things through, right? I think another obvious one staying there when you think about, even Valley Forge, fortitude, put that on the table, the ability to, have the mental toughness and the grit. There was also some threats of violence against desertion, but, on top of all that,
there's that. Yeah.
Yeah. But on top of that, the ability to have that stick-to-itness to say, we were talking about how an alternate universe, if Washington had, lost at Long Island, could have very well been the end, but there's hundreds of other times that it could have easily ended. One bad battle could have meant they would desert in mass, and you would be like, oh, I can't catch them all. And I can't punish them.
There are so many main characters in the Revolution, and some of them do die. Joseph Warren was a main character in the Revolution, and he didn't make it through the Battle of Bunker Hill. He didn't even get to see Boston liberated. Fun fact, Joseph Warren is the only Grand Master of Masons to die in combat.
Oh, really?
Because at the time that he died at Bunker Hill, he was the Grand Master of Masons in Massachusetts.
So he was traveling in a different way than our Grand Masters travel.
With a gun. Well, some of them probably travel with a gun, but he stood for a cause and died at Bunker Hill, and that's another brother that we celebrate. Joseph Warren was also a Freemason, so there's that tie again through history. We can learn from them not giving up, and particularly like the camp before Trenton, before the attack on Trenton. Thomas Paine wrote the American Struggle, the American Crisis. So here, I'm just going to read it because it's really powerful. Writes, "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will in this crisis shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph." And that's the intro to it, and it goes on and on. It's actually quite long. That kind of tells us what they were going through at the time, and he knows it. These are the times that try men's souls. This is the time when it's actually hard to fulfill your obligations. And I think a lesson we can learn from that is we have a lot of charges and obligations and things that we say we are going to do. We promise that we're going to do them as Masons. But when it gets really hard to do them, do we still follow through? Sometimes we don't, because there's an easier path or what have you, right? Or we have excuses, and you don't always pick to completely fulfill your obligations. Sometimes it slips a little bit. There's obligations that we take, not just through the obligations, but through charges that we are told we have to do these things. Sometimes we don't
live up to them and reprehend with justice. And how does that charge admonish
go?
With candor,
with friendship.
Yeah.
Judge with candor, admonish with friendship. Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes we don't, and we should. But I think that's a lesson that we can pull from that, is when times are hardest, that's when you should really be pulling through with your obligations.
Well, and when you think about lodges have ebbs and flows, right? Like there's strong periods and there's tough periods, right? But the fact that the lodge is still there shows that the past masters of that lodge maintained and continued to keep up the fight and move forward and keep, passing the torch on, right? And, I feel like that's part of it is that, there could have been plenty of times at lodges that, when times got tough, the master or the officer's like, maybe we just pack it up. Like, I'm sick of it. I'm tired, Grandpa. And then the past master goes, that's too damn bad. And he has to get back to it.
That's how this roofing project is making me feel.
Dude, this roofing project's brutal. But you know what they say in Thomas Paine's The Crisis? The next sentence says, what we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. So it is the dear list only that gives everything its value. So there you go. You're going to feel great when it's done. The job hard won tastes better as bread, or whatever they say. So from your memory, what Masons were, besides George Washington and Paul Revere, the classics that everyone knows about in Revolutionary history, the Ben Franklins and what other Masons are we aware of that's been passed down through time that were key players in the Revolution that you're aware of?
In the Revolution particularly, John Stark famously said something like, today that flag flies over yonder hill, or Molly Stark sleeps a widow. And that is, again, and he's from New Hampshire, right? So actually the New Hampshire motto comes from John Stark, live free or die, period. John Stark was a major member of the Revolution, big main character. He actually was the one that said, they're going to come from the north. And the Continental Army generals were like, nah, I don't think so. So John Stark quits his commission and goes back to the New Hampshire militia and raises a militia army to defend against a north attack, which does come and leads to the victory at Saratoga. So another one of those divine providence main characters, I would say. Another fun story is, never tell me the odds, right? John Paul Jones fought against the odds all the time on ships. John Paul Jones was a brother and was the father of the American Navy. So he commanded several ships. He famously said, God, what was his? I forget his quote now, but he was a captain of the USS Ranger, which is the first American ship to be saluted by a foreign nation. France saluted the USS Ranger with John Paul Jones on board, and it's also the first U.S. vessel to fly the American flag, I believe, in a foreign territory. So he did a lot of great things for the Revolution and won a lot of great battles. Man, who else is there just from memory? Paul Revere did a lot. It wasn't just the Midnight Ride, but Paul Revere did a lot behind the scenes for leading up to the Revolution. He was a publisher and a silversmith, and he really helped get communications out. That was one of his big things.
You know what's wild? Not to take you down a rabbit hole, but you bringing up the state motto of New Hampshire was live free or die, which is just insane that that's just such a powerful motto. I quickly looked up.
It's the only motto that's like that. Live free or die.
So I looked up all the states who fought in the Revolution and their mottos compared to ones who came later. And you know what? I'll tell you what, the East Coast, the 13 colonies mottos are a little more intense. Massachusetts is, by the sword we seek peace, but peace only under liberty. Like, okay, kind of long-winded, right? Connecticut is in English, just in Latin. He who transplanted still sustains. Maryland is manly deeds, womanly words. Wow.
Nice.
So yeah, there's some fun, and of course, Virginia is sic semper tyrannis, thus always to tyrants, death to tyrants. Right?
Yes.
There you go, hardcore. Yes. It seems like the Revolution really put a pep in the step of the East Coast, South, and Northeast Coast mottos. The rest, like ours, like forward, and you're like, yeah, Excelsior. You're like, heck yeah.
New Hampshire is live free or die. Yeah.
I shall live free or I shall die. And you're like, oh.
They're pretty intense, yeah. But yeah, that came from John Stark. I mean, that was all John Stark right there. Marquis de Lafayette was a huge part. Our first friends were the French, and that should be celebrated. It's another interesting rabbit hole was when after the French, which I don't think we would have won without the French either. It's my opinion that there's no way
We lack
that
the
we would have
Navy.
won without. Yeah, the French Navy came in and really they were a problem for Britain. But then once we became a country, we're kind of weak, and then France needed friends, and we kind of didn't help the French out, which is kind of they helped us, and then we kind of didn't help them. But World War I comes, and we have a colonel that shows up, and when he shows up in Paris, he makes sure to visit the grave of Lafayette, or like some memorial for Lafayette or something like that. And he says, Lafayette, we are here, as kind of a, hey, we're finally repaying the favor.
It's interesting too in that so I read the book A Man of Two Worlds about Marquis de Lafayette, who, I mean, is just being an interesting person in general and a very interesting Mason. But on top of him coming over and being, more or less George Washington's adopted son, sort of, the amount of French military personnel that they sent to train people was huge too, because we didn't have the military infrastructure to turn militia into regular, European fighting soldiers. I mean, we used guerrilla warfare, which was one cool innovation we did in the revolution, but to actually stand toe to toe and go, hey, we can't do guerrilla warfare. We actually need to hold the line on these guys. The amount of European military experts that had to come over and, help more or less turn a militia army into a fully fledged professional fighting force was also hugely impactful too.
Yeah, there were some Germans too. He said European because there was several Europeans involved that volunteered to come over and maybe give us some supplies and some training and help out a little bit. But without the French Navy.
So what do you think, Matt? Were you gonna say something? You look like your eyes were thinking.
No, you're good.
He just woke up.
He's back.
I'm just enjoying.
So a couple of interesting characters. Are there any other little known American Freemasons that pop up in military history that you enjoy outside of the Revolution?
Outside of the Revolution, there are a lot. Medal of Honor, I believe, I want to say there's something like 37 Medal of Honor recipients that were veterans. I'm not sure if that number is true, but
that were Masons? I think they're all veterans.
What's that?
You said 37 of them were veterans. I was like, I'm pretty sure they all are.
Yeah. Well, they're Freemasons. Lewis Millet, one of them, which was he got the Medal of Honor for a bayonet charge in Korea, I believe. He was a Freemason. Audie Murphy is a Freemason. Sammy L. Davis is a Freemason. He was a Medal of Honor recipient for the Vietnam War. He's a member down in Indiana. James Doolittle was a Freemason. Many presidents. Truman. I think Truman served in World War I, was also a Freemason and a Sojourner.
Teddy Roosevelt served at the Spanish-American War.
Spanish-American War, yeah. Teddy Roosevelt. There's just the list is huge. There's astronauts, there's generals, chiefs of staff. It's an endless list of Masons that were also veterans. The duty and service is pretty strong in Freemasonry and military service. They kind of run hand in hand. Yeah, there's quite a few. Charles Aldrin,
of course. Yep, the classic. Mm-hmm. So this is a good segue then to segue in. I'd like to know a little bit more about the National Sojourners. Our viewers can't see, but you're decked out in your Sojourner apparel as we speak. So We're getting the full image. Can you tell us more about National Sojourners, what you like about it, and just a little insider knowledge, like what's it like to be a Sojourner and what's it all about?
Sure. I guess I'll start with kind of the history of the National Sojourners because it's pretty interesting and it ties in with obviously war and veterans. They formed out of traveling military lodges. The title Sojourner is somebody on a journey, someone that is a traveler on a journey. So traveling military lodges kind of spread Freemasonry through the world, really, but definitely through the frontier as America expanded after the Revolution. The first lodges here in Wisconsin were actually traveling military lodges. The first one was it was technically Grand Lodge of Michigan, I think it was under. It was Menominee Lodge 274 or something like that. It was up in the Green Bay area. They formed out of a traveling military lodge. So arguably, one could say that the National Sojourners actually started Wisconsin Freemasonry. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? The Grand Lodge of Ohio is also another one. They started out of Traveling Military Lodge. That was like Union Lodge number 1, I think it was called. Grand Lodge of Philippines was founded by Sojourners. There was a Sojourners club in the Philippines, which the first Grand Master of the Philippines was the Charter Master of Manila Lodge, and at the time was a member of the informal club named the Sojourners, which were just a military lodge. He was from a North Dakota regiment, I believe, that was stationed out there, and that's kind of how it started. In 1917, a formal organization called the Chicago Sojourners Club was founded in Chicago, which is currently our mother chapter. It's like chapter 0. It doesn't even have a number. It's just the Chicago chapter, which we're currently in the process of hopefully reviving. It's down to like a handful of members that actually live in the area. So we're really the process of getting that back to strength and having a great mother chapter in Chicago. So if you're a Chicago listener, hit me up. Some of you guys already know. We did a really great visit to Illumination Lodge last year. And, we'd love to come back and we'd love to hit all the lodges in the Illinois area and get you guys interested. But then after Chicago, of course, they sprouted up everywhere. So Sojourners, it's the military organization of the Freemasons. So we're all military veterans. We welcome all Master Masons that are honorably discharged from the uniformed services or are currently serving. Veterans like to have a place to go to hang out with fellow vets, just kind of what we do. And that is also true for veterans that are Freemasons. And the National Sojourners is a very special group to be a part of. There's also room for honorary members that serve the veteran community and want to advance our patriotic causes that are not veterans themselves.
Free and accepted veterans.
Free and accepted sojourners.
Free and accepted sojourners, I should say. Yeah, not veterans. You can't. Nice. You can't stolen valor that bad boy. You can sojourn it. Like yeah, free and accepted sojourner.
So, in a nutshell, they're the patriotic group of Freemasonry. 100% of them are Master Masons. 90% of them are veterans, I guess you could say.
An interesting question that I was going to try to use as our segue before, but Andrew segued us right in.
So, Jenkins.
All the you spoke a lot about like military history and various Masons that were part of the armed services and stuff like that. Was that a passion project for yourself? Is that military history and finding out who was Masons and stuff? Is that something that you decided to undertake, or is that something you can learn a lot more about in the Sojourners? Is that something they emphasize to learn about and offer as education?
Yeah, we do. It's both. To answer the question first, it is both. I have a great interest in military history and lessons that we can learn, particularly American military history, because we fight. It's what we do. It's literally the only thing that America does best is we'll fight for something. If we got nothing to fight for, we're going to find something. We're going to fight for it. Basically, right? So, but within the National Sojourners is a secret organization. I say secret with air quotes to you listeners. You can't see because, Masons are great at keeping secrets. We have so many secret organizations. It's not really secret.
It's invite only. Is that one of those?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not secret. It's just there. I don't know. They have jurisdiction over a very unique degree that takes you back to the Revolutionary War as a recruit for the Continental Army. And of course, there's morality lessons and there's some humility and there's some levity, but you have to be a sojourner in good standing to even be considered to receive it. So it's actually probably pretty rare as far as side degrees go, because not only do you have to be a Freemason, you would have to be a veteran or an honorary member, and then you get picked from the Heroes of 76 has officers. It's organized into a camp, and camps are named mostly after heroes of American wars. Heroes Camp is named after Paul Revere, and I was elected to be the camp commander this year, which is why I have the cool tricorn. So if you guys need an episode on Paul Revere, can make that happen, or just a whole nother episode on Heroes of the Revolution. We could do that, and we do emphasize particularly Heroes of the Revolution, which were Freemasons also. So we have that double tie: John Paul Jones, Lafayette, Washington, Warren, all those guys are who we celebrate. And we want to make sure that that history remains, that everybody knows all the things that these people did. And not just them, but guys like John Stark, which aren't really mentioned, but he was the hero of the Battle of Bennington, and he led to the victory of Saratoga. I mean, it's very important. And so as commander, I get to wear this cool tricorn with the general stars on there, and I get to do the commander part of the degree, and it's really neat. And at the Sojourners meeting, you're in pretty exclusive company. I have the privilege of being friends with many celebrated and accomplished Freemasons, and throughout the history and the current day. It's pretty cool to have that tie.
So what would you say, what type of things do the Sojourners do? Like, what kind of activities do you get involved with within that body?
A lot of local patriotic activities we like to get involved with. We do presentations, and most of our presentations are about our patriot history, the history of the flag, the history of some patriots that people don't know about. There's a really neat Eddie Rickenbacker presentation that I ran across, which is really, really cool, and I'd love to give that. I've never seen it done. I thought it was really interesting. We do retiring flag ceremonies and all those things. We can help with flag etiquette. We can do parades. We don't really like to do parades because a lot of our guys can't do parades anymore. Ceremonies, we'll do ceremonies. Waukesha just had and it was a week-long event, and it has the names of all the deceased from the Global War on Terror on all these banners. And they invited us to be a part of the closing ceremony, which was really cool. So we did the folding of the flag, just really a nice presentation for the public. So we just share the patriotic history and heritage and all the incredible stories of the American forces fighting losing battles against terrible odds. You know, Han Solo said something very American when he said, "Never tell me the odds."
Never tell me that. So
it's a very American thing to say. Never tell me the odds.
You guys do probably my favorite ceremony, one of my favorite ceremonies in all of Freemasonry, and that is the toast of the flag. That has to be one of my hands down favorites.
Yeah, every time I hear it, every time I do it, I love it. And that's definitely a crowd pleaser. That's everybody's favorite. The toast of the flag can be done anywhere too. I mean, anywhere where you have a meeting or a flag or whatever, toast of the flag is done there. Hopefully be doing the toast of the flag.
So you know how you said your members can't do parades as much anymore? I have an idea.
Okay.
It's a good idea. So you buy a bunch of rascals, okay? Now, you don't let them ride in the parade in the rascals. You either A, put cardboard horses around the rascals, or B, put tanks around the rascals, and then that's the shtick that you're all driving in like it'd be like the cavalry's here.
Why not both? Let's World War I this thing.
You can do both, yeah, absolutely.
Tanks and horses.
Yeah. One of you guys be the Polish, and the other guys, I'm just kidding. Charge the tanks.
Andrew, you're responsible for making the horses and the tanks.
I know my way around cardboard. We could get it going. It might not survive long, but it just has to make it through the parade.
Just has to make it through a parade.
To be fair, those type of parade, what do we call them? Float units? I don't know. Whatever. Group, a group doing the parade. The ones that are the homemade are my favorite in every parade. Any 4th of July, it's the ones who are like the creative, like a fun group put together something fun where it's like not terribly polished. You're like, those are always the best. If it's too polished, you're like, you guys paid for this. You got to build it with your heart.
That's bought, not built. Yeah, we want something that's built.
Yeah, I want cardboard horses and tanks.
And tanks.
And helicopters.
Creativity and ingenuity. That's what I want to see, right?
I just thought of a crazy idea. You know, all the episodes of Fun Image?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if AI can do this. I'm sure it can. You take like Han Solo, John Paul Jones, and then like the Millennium Falcon and the USS Ranger and do a mashup.
Oh. Han Solo, John Paul Jones, mashup.
He's already working on it.
The Millennium Falcon and the USS Ranger. Let's see what that turns into.
Turning over there.
Some weird AI slop for sure. It's gonna take people to a new
it'll
galaxy.
Confuse the algorithm.
They'll be like, "How do these things go together?" You're like, "I didn't ask you to think. I asked you to make this for me."
Right. Don't think about it. Just do it.
Just make a bicycle, clown.
Oh, man. We went down a little bit of a hodag hole there.
It's a good idea. I stand by it. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm in. Let's get some rascals. We'll paint them red, white, and blue, and horses and tanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect.
Sure, we could do a fundraiser for it, right? And do some 50-50 raffles and stuff, so we can buy those rascals, and yeah, that'd be fun.
Support your Masonic veterans. They need
shenanigans.
They need rascals with horses on them.
One of the things I also wanted to kind of mention is like these next few months, 250 years ago, these next few months were a lot of defeats. We should reflect on that. It's not always victory. Sometimes you just gotta go through the motions. Sometimes you're gonna lose. Sometimes you gotta retreat and regroup, and that's okay. And yeah, we just gotta stay strong, stick to our obligations, trust in God,
or die.
I think
live for your
right. I think something important to remember about defeat is it's the greatest teacher, right? And so all of those probably culminated in contributing to the eventual victory.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're staring defeat in the face, I think that's something important for us to remember, is that there's a lesson there. So even if you lose, you're going to come out having learned something if you handle it appropriately.
And it's not about the loss. It's about the friends that you made along the way.
Have you guys seen, I don't know if we could like plug movies or talk about movies, but have you seen Young Washington?
No, is it good?
It's very interesting. It's Washington before the revolution. It's British officer Washington and his aspirations. It's really neat because they go through his defeat which was just a really great learning experience for him. It's like you said, failure is the greatest teacher, which I think is Yoda, right? Didn't Yoda say that?
Probably.
Another Star Wars reference? Are we foreshadowing a May episode here?
Nothing is happening in May, and no, I did not just try to Jedi mind trick the entire audience.
It's all the failures that lead up to the ultimate success. And like I said before, they knew that all they had to do was not lose. Like they don't have to necessarily win, but if they don't lose, then they will have freedom. Because eventually Britain's they're gonna run out of resources, they're gonna stop trying, and they're gonna give up. And they knew that. Stuck with the path, trusted in God, trusted that what they were doing was right, and it would lead to they could create their own democratic republic, which was an insane idea.
Is essentially like, and this is not even going to be that far off of an analogy, that the United Kingdom was the CEO of a company that was making money off the colonies because they were running it like a business. And then the whole colonies went on strike, but with guns, and said, we're going to hold out and hold the line till this becomes so unprofitable that you just release to our demands and let us go, because we're actually just dragging you into a situation where you were not going to be able to pay it off, and you're making yourself weak doing this for the enemies who are sitting there, like the French and the Spanish and all the great powers of Europe sitting there eyeing it up like, yeah, keep spending your money, buddy, because there's some stuff that you took from me that I'm not too happy about. You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it's interesting that the Declaration of Independence is grievances against the king. I mean, they spell it all out. And then he did this, and then he did this, and then he did this, and then he prevented any recourse. And then half to three quarters of the Declaration of Independence is just spelling it all out. Like, we're not just doing this on a whim.
We tried.
This has to happen.
You didn't
this has
listen.
to happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's almost like they're putting out there, too, like, the word propaganda piece is not the right term, but it's closer to it, to the rest of Europe, to say, we're justified. You guys all I'm going to lay this all out. Like, so if you guys want to butt in on this, you're going to go, well, I kind of sympathize. It seems like there's a lot of grievances here. Like, maybe the king should have been more wise about this, or listen to them.
It's a full-blown rationale for our actions, partially probably in an attempt to get others to either stay out of it or join the Americans, because they're saying, look, these are all the things that he did to us. So you could take his side if you want, but wouldn't be right, would it? So yeah, maybe that was part of it.
Yeah, marketing.
Well, and it builds legitimacy, right? Which is huge. You need to build that legitimacy, so no matter what the other side says, you can go, hey, no, look, we laid it all out here. He can say what he wants, but he's wrong. Here you go. Here's the whole laundry list.
So if in a perfect world of the Sojourners, you had as much money, membership, and time as possible, what type of things would you like to imagine the Sojourners would do? If you had all those things, you could do whatever you wanted. What type of activities would you like the Sojourners to potentially get into that they haven't got into thus far? Or maybe they used to do?
If we had big-time resources, what I'd really like to see is the Sojourners getting involved with veterans that are not Masons and getting veterans that are transitioning from the military into real life and helping them with that. And there's groups that do that already. There's things in place, but it would be nice to help out with that because there's still a gap there. There's still people that get out of the military and don't feel like they belong to anything. I was always looking for something to belong to, and it would be nice for a group like the Sojourners to exist right there and say, don't worry about all the other noise, bad things you could get into. Like you can get into a whole lot of terrible groups that don't actually, I wouldn't say terrible, but groups that don't actually do anything for you. And Freemasons, I mean, the lessons are there to be a great person. So we could show them, here's a group of veterans you can go and hang out with. They're veterans. They're like-minded. We go through the same stuff. We're part of that unbroken chain of military service that goes back to the Revolutionary War. But we're also Freemasons. So we could teach all the lessons that need to be taught to make you a much better man and help you understand the way the world works and how you should walk upright as a just and upright man rather than joining a group just to join a group and be with other people and then get led down a wrong path. And maybe they don't have a whole lot of values, where the Sojourners have Masonic values. We have Masonic values and military history. So it's kind of the perfect mesh. So yeah, if we had all the resources, I'd say getting out there and helping veterans find what they need, particularly when we've had 20 years of war with the global war on terror. And there's a lot of them that aren't really joining groups and they're kind of lost. And it would be nice to be able to reach out to them and go, hey, this is probably where you should be. And not everybody will be. There's men that are looking to be with other men and do good things and be a part of their community and live the examples of all these pillars of the world that came before us. All the names we mentioned in this podcast. I mean, you can be like them. You have to live by the morals and learn the lessons and take them to heart and help other people out.
What's interesting that I think positions the Sojourners in a really good spot to tackle a task like that too is when you're talking about trying to transition a soldier to civilian life. And, I'm sure there's really good organizations, and I've heard a handful of them that, veterans can join for sure, but then they're still all veterans. So you're transitioning to civilian, but you're still maintaining only veteran bonds in those groups. The nice thing with the Sojourners is you become a Mason and a Sojourner, so you are still putting your foot now into the, a more soldier, veteran atmosphere, but also having a foot in a purely civilian atmosphere too, with the support of veterans around you to also help you transition to be like, out of the echo chamber, not to be like, everybody I hang out with is only a veteran and, we all go through these challenges, but it's nice, I think, to have that mix that you can cross-pollinate a little bit too to help with that transition.
That is absolutely true. Actually, that is the key part to it, is you're not just in an echo chamber of veterans, because I've seen it happen in some organizations where it's just a bunch of veterans and like really like-minded veterans, people that literally don't think any different from each other. You get like 6 or 7 of them together in one organization, and there's no opposing views. There's nothing to sound something off of. Maybe check your perspective and go, oh, I didn't look at it from that perspective. Maybe there's something else to this. Masonry forces that in a very good and very real and genuine way. It forces you to look at every perspective that you can look at from the eyes of someone who you don't agree with. And you get to actually think about that, which is actually part of what the veteran community needs. We need that difference. We need to to know that it's okay to disagree and we can still have a great conversation, which Masonry does really well. I love being able to talk with people that I wouldn't have otherwise met if not through Masonry. And I probably wouldn't really go out of my way to speak with them, and I'd be around more like-minded people. But with Masonry, I'm around every kind of man. I mean, from youth to manhood to age, in all different walks of life, all different vocations, veterans, not veterans, Christians, Buddhists, Muslims. It's all over the map of who you're going to run into. So it is nice to have that. I think veteran community could use a little more of that too. So the Sojourners brings that. It does. It meshes both the worlds together. So yeah, it's very unique.
Got anything else for us, Matt?
I don't. I didn't have much all night. I was just enjoying listening to all of that. So I'll be honest, my mind is a little off elsewhere too as well with the news we got today about Charles and stuff. So that was a rough one. So
totally understandable.
Yeah.
Yep. Jeremy, so thank you so much for coming on today and talking through a little bit of American history, Revolution history, and telling us more about the Sojourners. If anyone is a veteran and they're listening and they're interested in potentially checking out the Sojourners, how do they find more info?
There is a National Sojourners website. Actually, if you just search for National Sojourners, it'll bring you there. There's that. There's also the Milwaukee chapter is on Facebook. There are 3 chapters in Wisconsin. One's up near Eau Claire, one's in Madison, and one's in Milwaukee. If you just reach out to me, or really, you could probably reach out to your district deputies if you want a presentation or if you want to know more about the Sojourners. Reach out to your district deputies, and they'll be able to hook you up. I know 11 and 12, you guys are just super active with helping us out. Anytime I'm like, hey, put this flyer here. You guys have been super awesome. So yeah, reach out to your district deputies. Reach out to me. Find a Sojourner. You want to join a chapter, we'd love to have you, especially if we're recently opened up a job position for cardboard cutters for parades. So if you can cut shapes like, I don't know, a horse or a tank.
You'll get paid in cardboard.
Is that a paid position?
Yeah. We'll pay you the wages of a master mason. Don't worry. Baby double.
Excellent. Before we sign off here, Andrew, I do have to leave our listeners with one note, and both of you as well. I randomly came across a video tonight, and my daughter and I thoroughly enjoyed listening to this. We discovered heavy metal yodeling. And the 5-year-old went nuts about it.
Do we make everybody listen to it?
Don't worry, I'm already going to go find a soundtrack for the outro, so we'll get there.
I will send you the YouTube link.
Please do. I can steal a small amount of seconds without getting into copyright infringement.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, thank you for your service, and thank you for coming on to talk to us about, veterans and masonry and all that good stuff. It's always a pleasure. We love hanging out with you. Love chatting with you, and we'll have to think about a Paul Revere episode. Maybe next July.
Yeah.
Be a good time for a Paul Revere deep dive.
Let me know. I'm in. I love nerding out on history and all that stuff. So military history for sure. Yeah, let me know. It's always fun talking to you guys. Thanks for having me on again.
Heck yeah. Take care.
Good seeing you.
Later.